Imagine walking into a diner with only $3.75 in your pocket, hoping to make a good impression on a blind date you weren't even sure would show up. That was the reality for James, a single dad and Navy veteran who had already been through life's toughest battles. He wasn't dressed in the sharpest clothes, his shoes were a little worn, and his hands carried the rough marks of hard work. But in his eyes, there was hope. Hope for connection, hope for something more than just surviving day to day. The evening crowd buzzed around him, couples laughing, friends sharing meals, waitresses rushing between tables, but James felt invisible. He sat at a booth near the window, nervously checking his watch, the folded bills and coins in his pocket heavy not because of their value, but because he knew it wasn't enough for much more than a cup of coffee. Still, he was here. Still, he was willing to try. What James didn't realize was that just a few tables away, someone else was watching. A woman with a striking presence, long dark hair, tattoos running down her arms, and a leather jacket draped over her shoulders like armor. She didn't blend in, and she didn't try to. Most people only saw the tattoos, the biker boots, the confidence. Few saw the loneliness behind her piercing eyes. Her name was Olivia, the heiress to a family business she wanted nothing to do with, a woman tired of being judged, tired of people assuming they knew her story before she spoke a word. She noticed James the moment he walked in. The way he scanned the room, the nervous way he ran his hand over his daughter's small drawing tucked into his wallet for luck. Olivia felt something stir inside her, something she hadn't felt in years. Here was a man who wasn't trying to impress anyone with wealth or power. Here was a man who looked like life had tested him, broken him, but hadn't taken away his dignity. She froze, watching as he ordered nothing but water, waiting patiently, as if he was prepared for disappointment. Minutes passed. His blind date never came. James sat there quietly, shoulders heavy, eyes cast down, trying to pretend it didn't matter. But it did. Every rejection, every closed door, every reminder that he wasn't enough, cut deeper than he admitted. Yet he stayed, because walking out would feel like surrender. Finally, Olivia stood. Something in her wouldn't let her watch him sit there alone any longer. She walked over, her boots echoing on the diner floor, her tattoos catching the neon glow. James looked up, surprised. She smiled softly, not the kind of smile people expected from a biker heiress, but one filled with warmth. "Mind if I sit?" she asked. He hesitated, then nodded. At first, they barely spoke. But slowly, words began to flow. James told her bits of his story, his time in the Navy, the daughter he was raising alone, the struggles of finding steady work after service. He didn't sugarcoat it. He didn't pretend to be something he wasn't. And Olivia listened, really listened, in a way no one had in a long time. In return, she shared her own truth, the pressure of being an heiress to a fortune she didn't want, the stereotypes she battled daily, the ache of wanting someone to see past the ink on her skin and the name attached to her family. As they talked, the waitress came by. James stiffened, knowing he had only $3.75. But before he could panic, Olivia ordered for both of them, her tone casual, kind. "I've got this one," she said. He started to protest, but she shook her head. "You showed up tonight with more courage than most people ever do. That's worth more than money." The conversation stretched late into the night. What began as two strangers sitting across from each other turned into two souls finding common ground in their pain, their resilience, their quiet hope. For James, it wasn't about the meal, it was about being seen. For Olivia, it wasn't about paying, it was about finally giving her heart the chance to connect with someone real. By the time they stood to leave, the diner was nearly empty. Outside, the night air was cool, the street quiet. James thanked her, awkward but sincere. Olivia smiled again, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "Maybe next time, you can buy me coffee," she teased. His laugh, genuine and unguarded, filled the night air. For the first time in a long time, he didn't feel like a man defined by his struggles. He felt like a man who still had something to offer. Back home, James tucked his daughter into bed, kissed her forehead, and for the first time in years, allowed himself to dream of tomorrow. And Olivia. She drove home knowing she had found something money couldn't buy: honesty, courage, and the kind of connection that only happens when two broken pieces realize they fit together. This story isn't just about a blind date gone wrong, It's about how fate sometimes steps in when you least expect it. It's about how even with $3.75 in your pocket, you can be richer than most if you have courage, integrity, and the willingness to try. And it's about how love doesn't care about wealth, tattoos, or titles, it cares about hearts that recognize each other. If this story moved you, if it reminded you that love and hope can show up when you least expect them, then don't just listen, be part of sharing it. Hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and share this video with someone who needs to believe in second chances. Because sometimes, all it takes is a single step, a single conversation, to change the course of two lives forever.